Did you know that ancient texts suggest Jesus often withdrew to pray in solitude? Some scholars even believe these moments of prayer reflect a profound mystery, a conversation within the Trinity itself. Prayer is a fundamental aspect of Christianity. For believers, it is a means of seeking guidance, comfort, and wisdom from God. But have you ever stopped to consider that Jesus, who is believed to be God in human form, prayed to God? This concept seems to defy logic. If Jesus is divine, why would he need to pray? Who was he praying to? At first glance, this question seems paradoxical. But when we look deeper, we discover that Jesus' prayers are not just a practice of devotion. They reveal something profound about his identity, his mission, and his relationship with the Father. The Gospels paint a clear picture of Jesus as a man of prayer. It was not an occasional practice, but a central aspect of his life. Jesus prayed at critical moments, before major decisions, in times of joy and in times of distress. His prayers were so integral to his being that his disciples, who had seen him perform countless miracles, asked him not for power, but for guidance on how to pray. Throughout his life, Jesus prayed at key moments that defined his mission. When he was baptized, he was praying as the heavens opened and the Holy Spirit descended upon him like a dove, marking a divine affirmation of his identity as the Son of God. Before selecting his 12 apostles, he spent the entire night in prayer, preparing for the monumental task of choosing the men who would carry forward his mission. Before performing miracles, he always looked to heaven and prayed, as seen when he thanked the Father before raising Lazarus from the dead, or when he blessed the loaves and fish before feeding thousands. Jesus often withdrew to quiet places to pray alone, strengthening his connection with the Father, and even in his most agonizing moments, he turned to prayer. The night before his crucifixion, in the Garden of Gethsemane, he prayed so intensely that his sweat became like drops of blood. And even as he hung on the cross, he continued to pray, asking the Father to forgive those who crucified him, crying out in anguish, and ultimately surrendering his spirit. These prayers were not merely ritualistic. They were deeply personal, offering us a glimpse into Jesus' inner life, his struggles, and his complete dependence on the Father. Perhaps the most striking moment of prayer in Jesus' life occurred in the Garden of Gethsemane. Here we see his raw humanity on full display. Knowing that his betrayal and crucifixion were near, he fell to the ground and pleaded, "Father, if you are willing, take this cup from me, yet not my will, but yours be done." The weight of the world's sin was pressing down on him. His human nature recoiled from the suffering he was about to endure. The Gospel of Luke describes how his agony was so intense that his sweat became like drops of blood, an actual medical condition known as hematidrosis, which occurs under extreme stress. Yet, despite his anguish, Jesus surrendered to the Father's will. This prayer is not a sign of weakness, but of total submission. It reveals a vital truth. Though Jesus was divine, he experienced suffering, fear, and sorrow as any human would. He understands human struggles intimately because he lived through them. In John 17, often called the high priestly prayer, Jesus prays for his disciples and for all future believers. This prayer is significant because it gives us a glimpse into his heart. He asks the Father to protect his disciples, knowing that after his departure, they will face persecution. He prays for their sanctification, asking the Father to set them apart and transform them through divine truth. And in one of the most profound expressions of his mission, he prays for unity, longing for all believers to be one, just as he and the Father are one. This prayer is deeply personal. It shows Jesus' concern not only for those who followed him during his lifetime, but for every believer throughout history. Even before his crucifixion, he was already thinking about us, praying for our faith, our protection, and our unity. The key to understanding Jesus' prayers lies in the doctrine of the hypostatic union, the belief that Jesus is both fully divine and fully human. Jesus prayed because he was truly human. He was not merely God in disguise, but fully experienced human existence. He felt hunger, thirst, exhaustion, sorrow, and joy. As a man, he demonstrated what perfect dependence on God looks like, showing us how to rely on the Father in all circumstances. His prayers also reveal the relationship within the Trinity. He was not talking to himself, but engaging in perfect communion with the Father. The Trinity is a mystery, one God in three persons. Through his prayers, we witness the deep love, unity, and harmony between the Father and the Son. Beyond that, Jesus prayed because prayer was central to his mission. Every word he spoke to the Father aligned with his purpose, to reveal God, to redeem humanity, and to establish the kingdom of heaven. Even in moments of weakness, his prayers pointed toward this divine purpose. Jesus' prayers were not just words. They were powerful expressions of love, dependence, and submission. They reveal his full humanity, his relationship with the Father, and the very nature of the Trinity. Through his prayers, we see that he was not merely setting an example. He was inviting us into the same intimate relationship with God. His prayers bridge the gap between heaven and earth, offering hope, guidance, and a path to divine communion. So the question remains, if Jesus, the Son of God, relied on prayer, how much more should we? What do you think Jesus' prayers mean? Let's continue the conversation in the comments below.